Chief Craig Oliverius has been the fire chief of the city of Isle of Palms since March of last year. He tells me what he's been working on since that time for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Isle of Palms Fire Chief Craig Oliverius, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Hey, Quintin, how you doing? Good to see you.
Well, doing just great here in Charleston. And I know that obviously you have been the Isle of Palms Fire Chief, if I'm not mistaken, since March 29th.
That's correct. That's correct.
So, Chief, let me ask you this. What is your snapshot of the Isle of Palms Fire Department right now?
Well, I tell you, Quintin, we have some phenomenal people that work here in the fire department and also across the city. And so it's been a blessing. It's been a pleasure to get to meet a lot of our professional firefighters, to meet everybody in public works and city administration, the recreation department, our police department, and our residents. Our community is absolutely off the charts in how they support us, and they are very active, very engaged with our mission and what we do to serve.
So let me ask you this, Chief, Ben. How actually are you building a shared vision for all ranks of your department right now?
So that's a great question. So we have embarked on a strategic planning process through the College of Charleston, through the Riley Center for Livable Communities, and we're developing a 5-year strategic plan. We hope to have that plan. It's a community-driven plan. We reached out to the community through our business owners and our residents. We provided a survey to them. We were able to get data back. We also did a survey internally with our fire department, with our personnel, to see, where they would like to take our department, where do they see our strengths, our weaknesses, where are opportunities for us to be successful over the next 5 years. And that plan is currently in progress. We're in the draft stages. We hope to have that to council in February, March timeframe, where they can look at that plan, certify it, validate it, and put their stamp of approval on it.
Chief, I really don't want to get ahead of you all because I know you all are in the planning stages of this strategic plan. But let me ask you, let me ask you this. What are the internal results that you're getting from your firefighters, and how is that matching with what the community wants right now?
Well, we're getting a shared vision, meeting expectations, buy-in and ownership. And so we're marrying up those community expectations. We're marrying up the expectations that our firefighters have of our department and of their leadership. Me as their fire chief, serving in this role. What do they expect of me? What does the community expect of me? What does the community expect of our fire department? And so what does the fire department expect of our community? We don't have any schools here on Isle of Palms. So connecting with our community is really important. And we do that through our recreation department, a lot of special events. We have a ton of visitors that stop by the fire station, people who are out of state or visiting at Isle of Palms or just coming over here for the day. We're in a commercial district. We're really with both of our fire stations. One is by a marina that's heavily trafficked, beautiful spot. And then we have another fire station on J.C. Long Boulevard that we share with our police department in the public safety building. And it's right across the street from two very iconic restaurants here at Isle of Palms, and also down the street from the Windjammer. So we get a lot of people that are walking through, biking through, they're with their dogs, with their family. So we get a lot of contact with the public informally, and we have a lot of great opportunities to connect with our community. And we view our community as pretty much the whole, the whole world, because we have people from all around the world that come to Isle of Palms, not to mention the people from here, just the low country visiting, or our residents.
And Chief, I want to ask you this. So Dan, let me ask you, what are those measurable goals and objectives that you all have actually set thus far?
Well, again, it's in draft form. So one of our big things is retention and recruitment, because we have an amazing community we serve. And in order to serve this amazing community, we have to have amazing and incredible, fantastic firefighters. And so we have to hire the right people. But more importantly than that, we have to keep the right people. We have to retain those great people. And so how do we do that? We want to have opportunity for upward mobility. Mental health, physical health is a big thing now in the fire service and in our society. We have to have a good work-life balance. We have to pay our firefighters a livable wage that's competitive. We want to lead the market. So pay and benefits are important. Equipment's important. The safety and reliability of our personal protective equipment, training, all those different things. People want to have a career where they can impact the community. Isle of Palms is a great place to do that.
How much does this all cost you all in the long run for mental health training, getting these firefighters physically in shape and mentally in shape, and actually having equipment to take care of this community?
Sure. Like, what does it cost?
Yes, sir. All together.
Yeah. It's definitely a numbers game. Firefighters, the fire departments don't directly generate revenue. So how do we show our value to the community? So the public has an expectation of us. And so in our surveys to the public when they responded, they told us what they expected. They expected well-trained firefighters, fit firefighters. They wanted our firefighters to have the best equipment possible. So for us, what we look at is leveraging grant opportunities. We just had a grant that was approved through FEMA, the Assistance to Firefighters grant, earlier or late last year in the fall. We received the equipment, the physical fitness equipment, which is functional fitness. So it was around $50,000 that we received from the federal government through FEMA to help jumpstart our physical fitness program. And it's a physical agility test. It has multiple different scenarios that mimic fireground movements, fireground tools with forcible entry, with salvage and overhaul, with just going up and down a ladder mill to replicate, hey, you have an air pack on, your SCBA, you have firefighting equipment. So it helps with the fireground task to prevent injury, and it also helps with, just job knowledge and job function. But to dovetail into what you mentioned, how much does it cost? I mean, that didn't cost the community the full price of $50,000 because we were able to get a matching grant, and so we just paid 10%. We paid $5,000, and the federal government paid $45,000 for that fitness equipment. And our intent is to wear that equipment out in 5 or 6 years, request another grant, and then get resupplied with that equipment. But retention is very important because we want to. When we invest in training opportunities or personal protective equipment, we want to make sure that we're not having to retrain people at the basic level. We want to train people at the basic level, get them to the advanced level, and keep them going throughout their career. So retention is very important because the cost to hire somebody new every year is astronomical, and that's what we want to avoid.
Oh, yes, sir. Okay, Chief, let me break it down for you then. And going back to those grants, how many matching grants did you have to get this particular money that you just recently got from FEMA?
So it was just one grant through the Assistance to Firefighters grant. So it was a $50,000 grant award. It was called a micro grant. So we were very excited about that. We're going to apply again this spring through FEMA for 2 grant opportunities. One through FEMA, Assistance to Firefighters grant to help us with some of our auto accident, our vehicle extrication equipment. We want to move to a battery-powered supply, which saves space. They're more efficient. They have a lot of capability that and efficiency that a unit that has to be powered by a generator, does not. So we want to do that. Also, we sent 4 of our personnel to Alabama and Louisiana to research opportunities for a fire rescue boat because we definitely need that resource here. We're surrounded by water. We need fire suppression. We need rescue on the water in the intercoastal and out on our front beach and in our inlets and creeks. We have a lot of need there. We also respond automatic aid with Sullivan's Island, and so they need assistance at times, and we need their assistance as well. So we need to have a fire rescue resource, and so those personnel, we invested in them going to 2 different boat manufacturers in Louisiana and Alabama to find out, hey, what's the best piece of equipment that we could get that would work for us in our low country environment. And so that is going to be a grant request in conjunction with the Coast Guard through the Port Security Grant. And we've been working with them and our other resource partners to make sure we get the right asset. And so that's going to be a pretty significant grant request. It could be around $1 million, and it would be a 25% city match on that. So we're still running the numbers, but that's a big price tag. But knowing that the federal government could, pay 75% and support us, that would be phenomenal.
And I'm assuming, Chief, that you all, for the time being, that is actually borrowing a fireboat from the town of Mount Pleasant, perhaps?
So we call other agencies, whether it's North Charleston, Sullivan's Island, Mount Pleasant, City of Charleston, Johns Island. They all have fire suppression capabilities on their fireboats, on their boats. We do not at this time have that capability. So we have a 20-foot boat that we will respond with out of the marina for rescue capability. We also have a flat bottom boat. Our flat bottom boat is 17 feet, and it's great. It's a little skiff. You can get in shallow water, but it doesn't have the ability for fire suppression. You have a small pump on it, but it is not the gallons per minute is not what we need currently, and it's not as efficient as something that was built in. It was an aftermarket piece that we put on, and it doesn't provide us what we need at the time. So we've identified those opportunities for improvement through a grant to kind of kickstart that marine part of our firefighting mission.
And this might be a silly question, Chief, so that when you all get this new equipment, what more pieces will you have to add to that particular equipment?
Well, once we have that piece of equipment, once we get our marine firefighting vessel, it will have everything we need. It'll be turnkey. It'll be set up for rescue in the water. It'll be set up for search in the water. It'll be set up for extracting patients from a shallow water or a deep water area. And also the firefighting, that will all be built into that vessel. So we're excited about that opportunity. That'll be in around May of this year when we will apply for that grant, and we will have a process of about 6 months, a waiting period while they do the evaluation before we know if we're approved or not.
Oh, wish you could have it before summer.
Yeah, we do too, but we rely on our mutual automatic aid partners for those resources.
And Chief, so you mentioned earlier about the inlands and creeks. So what do you all want to work on with that from a fire department standpoint?
So, for us, Charleston County Rescue, they're a phenomenal organization. They help us out. They have an airboat, and they're able to get to really shallow water areas, or if somebody's stranded on an oyster bank and has a medical emergency, we have the ability to get to them. We have a wonderful program with our personal watercraft, with our jet skis, some people call them, but they have a sled on the back. We can rescue patients in Breach Inlet. We can rescue individuals on Front Beach. And so we have a robust rescue program on the ocean side on Front Beach, which is absolutely fantastic. We have a lot of talented people who can operate those pieces of equipment. So that piece of our mission, we are really dialing in, and one of the area leaders. Where we need improvement is in our creeks and in our intercoastal areas. Some of our assets that we have, the 20-foot boat and the 17-foot boat, they can work and make it happen, but it's not as efficient as it needs to be. And the public, they want us to be there quickly and be able to handle that efficiently. And this will allow us to handle some of this without having to depend on our automatic aid and mutual aid partners, who are great, yes. But sometimes they're busy as well.
Yeah, you're right about that, especially during the summer times. Oh my God.
Yes, sir.
So going back obviously to retention, Chief, what is that retention rate right now in the city of Isle of Palms versus a year ago?
So for us, we're static. We have 2 open positions currently. We interviewed today for some of those open positions. We have 2 open positions, and then for firefighters. And then we were approved last year, or in August of 2023 to hire 6 firefighter paramedics, which was very exciting. So we have hired for 3 of those positions, and we have 3 open firefighter paramedic positions right now. So we have 5 open positions, but 3 of those were brand new positions granted to us by our city council in August or in July of last year.
So when you look at the budget, Chief, how much money do you have for these firefighter paramedics? That is.
So for the whole program, we were budgeted everything we needed. We needed cardiac monitors, which are $60,000 a piece, and then different sets of medical equipment that are advanced, like your intravenous, drugs, intravenous catheters, those type of things, and so airway management. So all total, with that, we were looking for equipment around $110,000 for the equipment that we needed to have put into place. Then we have the cardiac monitors, which were, in addition to that, but those have a very long lifespan, 7, 8 years. Hiring the people are what is impactful to the budget. The capital piece is a little easier for a municipality to hang on to. So it was under $1 million. But we, again, a lot of that is capital that we don't have to renew every year. It's no cost. But the wonderful thing for us is these firefighter paramedics will be able to do the water rescue piece, the vehicle accidents, the fire, all the different things, the community activities that we do. They can handle all of those, so they're multi-role, not just a firefighter and not just a paramedic.
That is very interesting, Chief. So let me ask you, from a recruiting standpoint, where exactly are you recruiting these firefighter paramedics from?
So we have hired from other agencies that were actually one out of state,
yes, sir,
and from the Midwest, and then 2 were from local departments that were looking for something different. They wanted to have more ability to work in an environment where they serve a community on the water. And all 3 of those were interested in our water mission of what we do. And nobody can really offer that for a firefighter paramedic in this local area here in the Tri-County area, where you have an advanced level of care and we are on the beach. And so we're excited about that. And our paramedics that we hired that were firefighters were excited about that as well.
Wow. So, Chief, let me ask you this, then. You talked a little bit about the budget earlier in the capital. So what exact capital projects do you have in place for 2024?
Well, actually, next week we'll have our Plimo vent systems for our fire stations installed. And what that is, it protects our firefighters and the public. It's a direct source exhaust capture system that will affix to the vehicle exhaust. And so what that does is it cleans the air and makes sure any particulates that might be coming out of that exhaust is removed from the apparatus bay, because we do a lot of training in the apparatus bay, a lot of public events, a lot of fitness, and that's a really big capital project. We also have a squad and a battalion chief vehicle that we're currently working on upfitting. So which means we have to get lights and sirens on there. We have to lay out the compartmentation. Where do we want the personal protective equipment to go? Where do we want the cardiac monitor to go? Where do we want the trauma bag to go? And for the BC, for the battalion chief, our shift commander, what do they need for incident command? Where do they need to put the Motorola accountability system? Where do they need to put their command boards? Where do they need to put their personal protective equipment? All those different things we're working on capital-wise that are really going to take a lot of time from now until late spring for us to kind of dial in. And those are some of our big capital projects that we have going on right now. Of course, we have our standard maintenance that we're doing on our apparatus. We have our fitness centers, which we upgraded at both fire stations recently. Last year, we had a very talented captain and firefighter that chaired that group for us. So those are some of the things we're doing. Our Instagram's going great. We try to put a lot of the stuff we're doing on our Instagram. I don't know if following that, but we encourage people to follow that because it really shows what our personnel are doing training wise, what we're doing, capital projects wise. Hey, we have done, this or that piece to improve our service delivery.
And speaking of service delivery, Chief, do you have enough personal equipment for your firefighters?
So we joined Automatic Aid last year, which is, we're with the city of Charleston, North Charleston, St. Andrews, Johns Island, Mount Pleasant, all the area departments, St. John's that are in that James Island in that Automatic Aid group. There's 7 of us, and so we respond automatically to emergencies, which that helps us meet in FPA 1710 for our commercial occupancies, our residential occupancies that would be involved in fire. Also for vehicle accidents and our water rescues, we have assistance there automatically that either comes from Sullivan's Island or the Auto Aid group in certain areas. Sullivan's Island and Isle of Palms, to help our water rescue efforts in Breach Inlet, because we share that boundary. We have a phenomenal partnership, and we work with them to, at the same time, automatically we're dispatched to serve that area, because we might have 3-4 people in the water, and at the time we might only have a limited amount of firefighters available. So automatically those resources are dispatched, and then we can, when the incident commander gets there, they can say, hey, we need additional resources, or no, we don't need this many resources. We can cancel the resources that we have, because this is a 2 or 3 person rescue that needs to take place, or the individual has already been rescued by a Good Samaritan, or they were not in trouble at all. Somebody just thought they were in trouble. And we get a lot of that too.
Oh, wow. So now, do you have, I know the Isle of Palms cannot grow, obviously, but when it comes to the growth in the Charleston County area, Chief, how much infrastructure do you actually need for the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, that's a great question, Quintin, and that's something we looked at. We spoke with the Wild Dunes Community Association and the Wild Dunes Resort communities, because Wild Dunes is a phenomenal place. It's absolutely beautiful back there. They have a lot of large buildings. They have a lot of visitors, and as they continue to grow, we're tracking our service delivery with our response times and what are their expectations of us. And so we want to build those partnerships, build that data sharing and that tracking. And so we want to make sure that we're delivering an elite level of customer service. And in order to do that, we have to manage growth and expectations. And so even though Isle of Palms is not going to get larger by boundary, by geographically, it's going to continue to go more vertical. The old J.C. Long houses, the brick ranch that maybe would have been here, the masonry buildings, those are going away, and in the place of that are beautiful homes, but they might be 4,000, 5,000 square feet, and you might have in the summertime 22 people in a family sharing that opportunity to come to the beach, coming out of that house or staying in that house, when you initially it would have had maybe 2 to 4 people in a small brick ranch. And so looking at those things, looking at traffic, looking at our response times, we want to make sure we stay ahead of the curve and are providing that elite level of customer service. That's what the public expects. And so Wild Dunes is a great partner. And so we look at those opportunities with them. Is there anything that we could do differently with service delivery? And so our strategic plan allows us to be nimble and share that data, build those relationships. And that's part of our one of our strategic goals is meeting and managing the public expectations. That's our goal number 2. And so that goes right into what you said, how do we meet that service delivery demand as the Low Country grows? Plus, as we have more people moving into the Tri-County area here in Charleston and Berkeley and Dorchester, we're going to see more visitors. And so even though Isle of Palms may not specifically grow, we may see 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 more visitors each year. And so we have to be prepared for that, because during the day, those people may need our assistance.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, Chief, I got to run off to work here at noon. But let me ask you this last question for you, because I know you also have to go and do some things. But with that response time, what parts of this island do you actually want to improve the response times in?
So in the back of Wild Dunes, actually, it's a great question. So around the Ocean Point area, on the north end of the island, because those streets are so beautiful, they're a little windy. The speed limit is low. We would like to improve our response times in that area, and in order to do that, that would require an additional piece of infrastructure. And so over time, as we see call volume increase, or if we see response times get to an area where we're not comfortable, then we're going to have those discussions and see how we could partner. How potentially could the city partner with the Wild Dunes Resort or the community association to continue to provide this level of service we're providing now. On the south end of the island, we're really good because how our stations are laid out, but we do have a long distance there in Wild Dunes where there is an opportunity for us, because we can only go so fast on those roads, and we don't want to endanger the public. And so it would be wonderful to have another piece of infrastructure, behind the gate in Wild Dunes at some point. And we're going to continue to look at that, evaluate it, talk to our leadership, talk to our elected officials, talk to our citizens, and see what they need and how do we meet and manage those expectations. In the future, that could mean another fire station, or maybe it doesn't. But we want the community to drive that and our data to drive that.
And I hope to continue this conversation probably after the summer ends in 2024. But for now, Alva Palms Fire Chief Craig Oliverius, thank you for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thanks, Quintin. Have a wonderful day. Great talking with you.
Likewise.